everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is MichelleAna. If you are new to this channel, welcome. If you have been here before, welcome back sis, welcome back bro. Today's video is going to be somewhat of a life update. I did this type of video last year and at the 6-month mark as well. If you have no idea what I'm talking about 2 years ago, my husband suddenly passed away. And ever since then, I've just been rawly documented, just this series of just unscripted grief right here on YouTube. And this is just my yearly check-in in regards to specifically my life as a young widow. If you're interested in watching the rest of this video, I really hope that you enjoy it, that you subscribe, and that you give it a thumbs up. So I want to preface this whole video by sharing this verse that I really truly love, because it speaks of how God starts and finishes all things in your life, and there is no coincidence. There is nothing that happens in your life that catches God by surprise. And the verse is Philippians 1:6. It says, "And I am certain that he who begun a good work in you will bring it to completion at the day of Jesus Christ." And for me, that is something that I hang on to. I hang on to the whole word of God, the Bible. But I hang on to that because I think that sometimes in the midst of these 2 years, I have fallen into pockets of, why did this even happen? Or, man, couldn't this been another way? Couldn't this just happened another way? Or maybe to even someone else. But then I catch myself in those moments and I say, you know what, God? I'm thankful for every single thing that you have called me to walk out, because it's the assignment on my life and it's the thing that you've called me out to live out. And so I know that because you started this work in me, I'm confident that you're going to bring it to completion. And even though I may not understand on this side of heaven, on earth, why these types of things happen, or why I had to be chosen for something like this, I know that God is working it all out. And I don't have to entirely know why. Sometimes why it's just too much for even us to understand or wrap our minds around, because we live with a human mind and God thinks with his own limitless mind. Can I even call it a mind? Is it even a mind? I don't even know what to call it. But I wanted to start the video with that verse because it's something that I think it's so raw and is so intentional and so real to live by and to know and to trust. And so ever since 2017, I've just documented the things that I've learned throughout this whole journey of widowhood. But in this particular video, I wanted to share, I wrote a blog post last week, which was actually on the anniversary of my late husband's passing, which was on the 8th. So one of the things I want to talk about in this life update is awareness. I think it's so important for everyone to know that a widow is not just a person over a certain age. I think that's important to recognize now. No age is disqualified from being thrusted into this life of singleness again, of learning what it's like to living life without your spouse, whether it was foreseen or unforeseen. And I think that there needs to be more awareness out there. And so that's why I kind of wanted to talk about that in this video, because I was only 26 years old. And I remember when I went on YouTube and when I started just kind of researching a little bit about what are the things that I can do, or just coping things. And there was barely anything. And I've received thousands, I'm not even thousands of messages about how young women whether married or not, have lost their loved one, and how they had come across my video. And I'm like, oh my gosh, what? And I remember when I was trying to figure this all out and trying to find, like, oh my gosh, is there anyone else out there? There was a handful, not even a handful, maybe like 2 or 3 women that I finally had found. And it's just, everyone has different circumstances, right? Because for me, it's specifically that I had no children with my spouse. So I had to kind of relearn what it was really like just being by myself and single again. And that was something that was really hard. And I remember feeling super just alone, like, where am I supposed to who am I supposed to relate to? I'm a single young person who just lost her spouse, and there's really no, all those things were weighing on me. And I kind of like break this down on the blog post. And that was mistake number 1. I was allowing all of my anxieties to just build up on me and to just cloud my mind in so many ways. And once I realized that I wasn't created to carry my anxieties, but I was created to surrender them to the one who can actually carry them, it just changed my whole mindset. I was like, oh, okay, so really, I don't have to try to figure this out because it has already been figured out. I don't have to try to find someone who looks exactly like me, who's going through exactly what I've been through, or maybe currently going through, because you called me to walk that out. You uniquely called me to live out this assignment in the way that it looks like. So why am I trying to find somebody who has a replica story when you've already created it in me? And so I had to like let go of so many like different things and questions and whatnot, because I had been so used to walking and doing life with a partner, with someone, with a companion. And then that brought me to my next revelation that I've had in this past year, was that before anything and anyone, meaning another spouse, could ever come into my life, he needed to get the glory for my wholeness. He needed to get the glory for my redemption. He needed to get the glory for my restoration before anybody got it. Because I think that sometimes we like to glorify marriage in a way where it's like some sort of like, you've arrived now that you're married. And that's just not fair. It's not fair to those that were called out to live a single life. And it's not fair for the identity of a man and the identity of a woman. You're essentially saying that your marital status is worth more. And that's not the truth. God called us before he called us to be anybody else's. And so I think that I had finally made the revelation because, so many people, out of just more so curiosity and more so like the love in their hearts for me, which I totally understand, because I'm someone who adores, marriage and adores love and relationships. So it's not that I rejected it and I didn't want it. It's more so that the comments of, oh my God, I hope that you find love again, and that I hope that people who are not my family members, because it didn't even matter if it came from my mom or a family member or whatever, that didn't even matter. But I knew that these people didn't mean like any disrespect by it, because of the notion of, you're a young widow, you're only 20 something years old. I know that you have the rest of your life to live. But I recognized that before anybody entered my life, God had to repair all the places in my heart that felt like a person was going to be the redemption. He needed to do that first. And I am totally okay with that. There's certain things that I'm still walking out, that he's still healing some areas. And I think that is so important for even young women, even if you're not a young widow. It's so important that you soak up the singleness, that you literally take it for what it is and get so close to God and let him be your everything. Because when you allow God to be your absolute everything, it will not faze you when and if God allows to insert someone into your life. And trust me, I think that it is a beautiful thing, but I also think that we have to unmask this whole notion of marriage being I've arrived. I hope you understand when I'm saying that, because it's not that. It is not that. That could be a whole nother video, y'all. So I'm not even going to get into that. But I think that it's so important to have grace with people who are entering into this singleness, who are learning things again, who are making new friends, trying to establish their life. Also, this single again life, it's just crazy how it just comes with unforeseen challenges. You just really don't know what you're walking into or what's the next learning curve, simply because you are now, I'm at a place, I'll speak to for myself. I am now at a place where my normal, what was normal for me is so at a distance that sometimes I literally forget that there was a time where I was married, and that is so scary. And I don't mean that in a sense of what I've learned as a married woman. I mean in my daily walk, in my daily life, my morning routines, my nighttime routine, my how I make decisions. It is now a very far distance to me making decisions with someone, as opposed to now currently 2 years later. We're talking about 2 years later, where my covering is literally my heavenly Father. I don't live in my Father's home. I don't have my spouse, right? So literally my dependency comes from him. And I will say, in these last 2 years, my dependency on God has become, I've been so desperate for the presence of God to continue to be in my life that I can't ever imagine my life without God's presence. I never want to find out what it's like to live without him, because he's the one that sustains all of it, all of it. And so for me, it's a far distance now. Now it's just God, is you and me. What we doing? I've also learned in these past 2 years that I can do this. With every step that I take, it's a new level of trust in God. It's a new level of faith. It's a new level of revelation. It's a new level of moving forward with my life. And so I've recognized that wow, God, you really got me. One thing is for sure, not a day goes by that I don't think about Curtis. I mean, I think about him every day. I do. I really do. And it's because he was such an intricate part of my life since the age of 15. And I don't think that will ever go away. I don't think that love for him in my heart will ever be removed from that part of my heart. And I think that's okay. I think that's the way that my heart was designed. I also talk about in my blog the just different levels of grieving. So mourning is for a season, right? But I think that grieving, I want to say that grieving comes in levels. And here's what I mean by that. I won't really be able to grieve what I thought I was going to have as far as a family with Curtis until I actually have it. And it's going to be a reminder of what I thought was. And it'll just be another layer of just grieving those realities that I thought would have been. You see what I'm saying? And I think that God really does give grace for that, because it's not always like a strong level of grief that just follows me everywhere I go. I do think that certain situations won't really be revealed until you are at that point in time where a memory will come and it will remind you of a certain day or a certain sin or a certain situation that you were in, or argument that you had, or a running joke that you had. You can't really prepare for those moments, and that's something that I've learned in the past 2 years. You can't really prepare your heart for those moments. So it's like you have to allow those moments to literally go through your heart, but feeling it and allowing God to be there for you. Sometimes we want to do stuff ourselves, and it's like God is ready to be there for you. So in a nutshell, guys, I really share often about the things that I've learned as a young widow. If you guys want me to extend this a little bit more, I definitely can. But because I kind of did this last year, I kind of want to pop in and specifically do it this year again and just share a little bit of the things that I've learned and a little bit of a tiny bit of a life update, because honestly, it's a new year, it's 2019, and nothing really has kind of gone on in 2019. And you guys know I just did Vlogmas, so you guys saw my whole December play out, the ugly days and the fun days. So you guys can check that playlist out as well if you kind of want to see some of the highs and lows of the holiday season and how I kind of like allow God to just really be my all and come back from bad days. One more thing before I end the video. I don't really share when I'm fasting, but because this is a corporate fast, meaning it's with the members of the church that I attend, I want to ask you guys if there are any prayer requests that you guys want me to just pray for. If there are, just list them in the comment section below. And if you're someone who prays, I just encourage you also to look through the comments and see how you can bless someone with your prayers. Also, the Bible specifically talks about God taking care of the widows and the orphans, and us as a body taking care of the widows and the orphans. And so I want to encourage you also, if there is an orphan that you know, or if there's a widow or widower that you know of, just ask them how you can serve them. How you can be there for them. What is it that you can do to help? There's nothing wrong with asking people for help. And also, if you're on the receiving end, there's nothing wrong with asking for help. Literally, there's nothing wrong with asking for help, specifically in an area that you need help in. So if you have any prayer requests, just comment them in the comment section below, and I will make sure that I go through them in these next few days as I myself am fasting and just have entered into a time of really just focus, consecration, and prayer. Yeah, once again, I just want to thank you guys so much. A lot of you have found my channel as a result of my original just sharing my heart about what had happened in my life. And I just want to thank you for just your continued support and subscribing to my channel, reading my blog posts, and just being there for me as I walk this out. Thank you so much. I will see you guys in my next video.